Hi guys, I'm back again with some more stories for you today. Let's go to the first one, about OP's husband, who is furious OP is helping out her cousin who just gave birth, because of who she had the baby with. Listen to the story to find out, and of course to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories, guys, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. My cousin had an affair with my sister-in-law's husband, and is now 7 months pregnant. I found out a few days before everything was exposed, but because I didn't immediately tell everybody, my brother-in-law threw me under the bus to try to make himself look better, so it feels like I'm on thin ice with my husband and in-laws. We don't have a lot of family, so my cousin doesn't have anybody to help her, and she also isn't in a good financial situation right now. I bought a few things for her baby to help out, but my husband saw before I could give them to her and is furious with me for continuing to speak to her and for spending his money on her. He wants me to return everything and to not help her after what she did to his sister. I understand why he's upset, but my cousin needs the help, and her baby is the only one who'll miss out if I don't. Am I the a-hole? I'm surprised to see from the comments so far that no one seems to have any empathy for the woman whose husband has cheated on her. The cousin and the brother-in-law decided to have a relationship resulting in pregnancy. These two and these two alone are responsible for supporting their child in every way, including financially. If the OP earns her money, it's up to her what she spends it on. If she doesn't work and is therefore financially dependent on her husband, any spending plan should be a joint decision. If this is the case, the OP shouldn't be surprised that the husband is concerned for his sister, and therefore furious with his wife for using the money he earns for their household's use to support his brother-in-law's affair baby. Also, how will OP's sister-in-law feel if she finds out that OP is giving open support to her adulterous husband and the woman who was happy to have S with him? This situation is unlikely to add to OP's marital happiness, and she should be realistic regarding her own prospects for divorce, as she's aiding those who have thrown a metaphorical grenade into her husband's family. It's Mini-Me says, "It takes two to have an affair. It takes two to have a baby. But it seems all the blame fell on your cousin, not on the married man who got her pregnant. Not the a-hole." Sage Green 98 says, "Not the a-hole. You should never punish an infant for the actions of the parents. It's a ducking helpless infant. It needs food, shelter, and clothes. How big of an a-hole must a person be to want to punish an infant for its parents being irresponsible by having an illicit affair? Punish the parents, but don't drag baby into it. Baby has no choice but to be who they are." Happy Banana 134 says, "You're the a-hole. Unless you and your husband have 100% separate finances. This is not okay. He doesn't want any of his money or resources going to this woman. I don't think he's unreasonable for this." I, 36 male, recently moved back to my home state 3 months ago for a job. Before moving in with my brother Lane, 34 male, and his fiancée Grace, 32 female, who will be married in July. Fake names. Grace and I don't like each other much. We tolerate one another, are cordial, but if I had to choose who to spend time with, it wouldn't be her. I think she looks down on our family for being working class, and none of us having degrees, where she has her master's, a career in education, and comes from a family where the only person who did not go to college was her dad. She prides herself in stuff and success, where we tend to be humble and enjoy the relaxed life. Anyway, I came home yesterday, and Grace was the only one home. Her last day of school was Thursday. Today is Saturday, so she is on summer break. She told me she wanted to talk to me, and I said okay. She told me she wanted me out of her house, and she would like me to leave ASAP. I asked why, and she said I make her uncomfortable, and that she didn't think I'd be here longer than a month or so. I admit, I did agree to be in the home for only a month because I figured I could get an apartment by then, but I couldn't as rent in this area is too high. But neither she nor Lane told me they had an issue with me being there. I told her I have renter's rights and get 30 days. She told me I don't because I never established residency in her house, meaning I was still using my dad's address for all my finances and direct deposit, and I never changed my address over. We visit my dad frequently, so I just pick up my mail there, and my license is at my dad's address. I also have not paid rent because we agreed that I should save money for an apartment. So, according to her, my primary residence is my dad's house, not theirs. She then said she planned to give me until the end of June anyways, but regardless, this is not my house and I am no longer welcome. I told her that we'll wait and see what Lane has to say. She said Lane doesn't get a say because it's legally not his house. I said it is, and she said that the house is only in her name, both mortgage and deed, and that she does not need his permission to boot me out of the house. This went on for about an hour until Lane got home. Apparently, Lane was supposed to talk to me about this weeks ago and never did because he doesn't like arguing. But he agreed I overstayed my welcome and sided with Grace. I said fine, told him he should not treat his brother like this, packed my things, and went to my dad's. I told my dad what happened, and he disagreed with how Grace and Lane went about it, but that they're preparing for a life of marriage and I shouldn't be there. I feel blindsided, slighted, and like I'm being judged for not being able to afford an apartment just yet. I get that they're getting married, but I was raised that family comes first, and that includes before a wedding. Am I the a-hole? If OP says he's going to stay for a month, he has to ask if he can stay longer. OP's not entitled to live there as long as he wants. Sounds like being humble and enjoying the relaxed life to OP means letting other people work hard so OP can mooch off them. Sister-in-law has been very generous with OP, even though OP judges her for who she is, and OP has the audacity to tell her it's not enough. Let's hear if the community agrees with me. Margaret Hale Thornton says, "Yes, you're the a-hole. You told them you'd be there a month. You've been there almost 3, and for most of that, they gave you a pass. Probably hoping, trusting, you'd surely be leaving soon. You haven't paid them any rent, and they asked you to leave. You shouldn't have argued and talked about renters' rights. You should have left. It actually kind of blows my mind that you thought your brother might side with you. Of course they want their space back. I don't think there's anything wrong with how Grace told you either, especially given that your brother had promised to tell you weeks ago and that she agreed to give you to the end of June. You sound incredibly entitled." Nut Michelle says, "You're the a-hole. Why in the hell would you think you're entitled to living in someone else's home? The issue here isn't with your future sister-in-law. The issue is that you're a freeloading a-hole without the ability to respect boundaries." Yeet Diver says, "You're the a-hole. They gave you a home to stay, didn't ask for rent, let you even overstay for a while, and do you feel you're in the right? They didn't ask for rent so you could afford an apartment, but you can't. They have a life to live too, and instead of being grateful to them for letting you live in the apartment, you're being angry? Typical a-hole behavior." My 33 female, husband Luke, 33 male, funded his sister Julia's, 24 female, education, undergraduate and graduate, for 6 years, and she recently graduated with her master's degree. I met Luke when Julia was a freshman, so I was aware that he offered to pay her schooling for 6 years. That was their deal. Luke started his adulthood with a lot of debt from school and didn't want Julia to go through any of that. He only wanted her to focus on getting an education. His business was successful, so he paid for her tuition, apartment, car note, food, and other expenses, gas money, phone bill, clothing allowance, etc. He has spent close to $300,000 in 6 years. Luke and I run our business together, and we combined finances after getting married. His business generates 10 to 15% more revenue than mine. 4 months ago, we had a discussion with Julia and asked her what her plans were regarding her future after school. She said she wanted to stay near her friends, so Luke helped her secure a position where the starting salary was in the low 6-figure range. We decided that we would give her a rental property so that she would not pay rent. She would only be responsible for the utilities. 6 weeks ago, Julia's plans changed. She quit her job and told us that she wants to continue her education in UK, a second master's degree, and her PhD after. She's expecting us to pay for it. Luke discussed it with me and I told him that she should take out a loan. He paid for 6 years of schooling, pulled strings to get her into her career of choice, and we gave her a free place to stay. I don't think it's fair that we pay another $200,000 to $300,000 for Julia to avoid working and not deal with responsibilities. Luke agrees, but he's a bit of a pushover. I reminded Luke that we have shared finances, and my business brings in almost as much as his. Therefore, I also have a say in this. Julia has been complaining to her parents and all of our relatives that I am denying her a chance to succeed at life. Luke's aunt says that it's only fair that we continue paying for her to attend university, since Luke was the one who offered her a debt-free education. Am I the a-hole for putting my foot down and not allowing my husband to continue paying his sister's education, since I bring in half of our income? I think OP is definitely not in the wrong here. Everything has to have boundaries. She has an education and got a good job and a home without huge payments. She can work a few years, save, then if she really wants it, she can go to the UK and pay for her own continuing education if she wants a PhD. She is an adult and can support herself. She doesn't need to be pampered further. OP's sister-in-law is clearly milking OP's husband for all that she can, when he's just trying to be a good older sibling. I wouldn't be surprised if she's just going to turn around later and say she never asked for any of that, and he did it on his own. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Comfortable C2454 says, "Not the a-hole. She had a free ride through her master's. You helped her get a job with a 6-figure salary and a rent-free place. If she wants a second master's and a PhD, she can do that either after working to save up the money or do it part-time while working full-time to pay her own way. Her sense of entitlement is frightening. You and your husband have done enough." Consistent Leopard 71 says, "Not the a-hole. Luke didn't just cover her tuition. He completely financed her life for 6 years like he was her dad. Then got her a job and bought her a place to live. He has done more than enough for Julia. It's time for her to adult." Avarcius Dishes says, "What? No. Also, if she's not getting a funded PhD, she's not good enough to be doing one anyway. Luke is an amazing brother, but at a certain point, she has to fly the coop, and his money is your money. No partner has the right to unilaterally spend $250,000. Not the a-hole. Sounds like your sister-in-law's expensive education hasn't taught her gratitude." Yesterday, my 17 male, Aunt Barbara, 27 female, came over for dinner with her 2 kids, Aaron, 1 male, and Kathy, 5 female. For context, my aunt is really big, like 300 pounds, stomach hanging down, double chin big. Since we had family over, there was a buffet-style make-your-own taco spread. Barbara loaded up her plate with tacos and huge portions of beans, rice, and chips. I was a little annoyed by this because she is always talking about dieting, but here she was with the biggest portions in the house. On my way back to the kitchen to throw my plate away, I came across Barbara talking with cousin Rachel, 19 female. She was going on about body positivity and how much better she felt now that she loved her body. I spoke up and said that's promoting obesity and is really unhealthy. She got a mad look on her face and said that without loving her body, she wouldn't have been able to face the gym, and she had already lost 19 pounds in 2 months. I don't know if this is true. Her plate had all that food. I said what she was saying was dangerous and would teach her children that being fat is okay and that they would end up dying of diabetes. I said she needed to be honest with herself about what she had done to her body instead of trying to act like it was okay. I said that there was nothing to love about heart attacks and diabetic comas. At that point, Rachel said, "Enough. Barb, ignore him. You're doing great." Later, she must have told my mom because now I'm grounded until I apologize. I think it's BS because I just don't want to see baby Aaron end up looking like the Michelin tire guy and have a heart attack by the time he's 9. My cousin told me I was being an a-hole, but I think I was just being honest. Expensive Day 4581 says, "You're the a-hole. You have no right to comment on someone else's body, ever. People should love their bodies no matter their size. She said she's going to the gym and lost weight, so obviously loving herself is motivating her. Also, her plate size has nothing to do with this. It's a family function, for goodness sake. Let the woman enjoy it, because she's probably eating healthy at home, so she deserves to treat herself a bit. It's just not your place." Moon Crater says, "Honestly, I feel like both of you are in the wrong. Body positivity is about loving your body in all its stages, but that doesn't mean you can just be unhealthy. However, being body positive doesn't really mean she's promoting obesity. As someone who is a bit big, body positivity has helped me overcome my EDS, but that doesn't mean I won't work out or try to be healthier, you know? And I'm sorry if this comment doesn't make much sense. If you want, I can make a longer comment going more in depth." Manual Correct says, "Not the a-hole, but this is going to have to be a lesson you'll need to learn. Obese people are generally very aware that they're not healthy, but people become very weird under insecurity. Toxic body positivity is one of these things. It's a good thing to promote learning not to be controlled by your insecurities about your physical appearance. But this has become a smokescreen for a lot of people to deny responsibility over their health. There is also a problem with America specifically, though other nations are getting there. People on average are so overweight in America that Americans have genuinely forgotten what a normal human being is supposed to look like. But you can do nothing to change the minds of these people. People who are in this mindset can only change when they're ready to change. When someone else makes them feel bad for body weight, you're usually going to dig them into a deeper hole." My aunt left my brother and I her home in Cape Cod in her will. The home just appraised for $700,000. For context, I've also been appointed the executor of her estate. Her will was written in 2015 and stated for the property to be sold and the proceeds split between my brother and I. My aunt and I were very close, and she had expressed to me in the year or so leading to her passing away that she wished to modify her will to leave the property to me outright and compensate my brother by designating him the beneficiary of some IRAs she held. But it never happened. My brother and my aunt were not close at all. He only called her when he needed something. The property has sentimental value to me, and I have the means to purchase it at this point in my life. My brother's wishes are to co-own it together, despite he and I having a poor relationship. I expressed to my brother that I wasn't interested in co-owning property with anyone except my wife for financial independence. I didn't express to him that a large reason of not wanting to co-own is because of his financial instability. He doesn't have an income, he's 28 and still lives with my dad, and has terrible credit and tons of medical bills. My fear was that he would use the property as a place to stay disproportionately to his 50%, or not be able to pay for 50% of the upkeep related to it. I did, however, express that I would invite him to visit as a guest, but I just wasn't interested in co-owning. He said that if my wishes were to buy it, he'd want 60% of the fair market value for his 50%, which I think is unreasonable. He believes we could sell the property for more than $700,000, which I agree is certainly a possibility, although unlikely. Even if I sold for more than $700,000, we'd also probably spend 6+% on real estate commission, plus the additional expense associated with it sitting on the market, taxes, utilities, etc. Unless we found a buyer to pay more than $50,000 over appraised value, I think that my brother walks away with the most cash in the scenario of me buying it. Fast forward. I have a pre-approval letter of $350,000 financing. I learned from my estate lawyer that because my brother is an heir to the proceeds of this property, and that I'm simultaneously the executor of the estate and a third-party buyer, that I can just proceed with the purchase price of $350,000 from the estate. He doesn't really have a say in the sale price, as long as it's the appraised value or higher. My lawyer advised that if he feels entitled to more, he'd have to take the estate to court over it, and he'd lose 99% of the time. My brother has also been spreading slander to the rest of our family, stating that I'm spending all the money in the estate checking account, and that I'm shady and probably paying off my primary house's mortgage with the estate's money. 100% not true, and also illegal. If I proceed with the sale of the house to myself without my brother being happy about it, am I the a-hole? Dr. J Science says, not the a-hole, but unfortunately, I don't see a way for you to get out of this without damaging your relationship with your brother. If you're worried about what family thinks, you could share a factual description of the steps you're taking and the laws you're following, like full-on no emotion, just steps. Then it's kinda out of your hands. Good luck. Dragon2439 says, I mean, it's a reasonable solution to a disagreement that won't have any other resolution. He gets his fair share, and it's legal. I'm just going to assume you're correct because I have no idea. I would say not the a-hole. I would also like to know why he thinks he should get 60% of the value when he has 50% ownership. Popular Jaguar 3803 says, not the a-hole, but tell him he also has the opportunity to purchase the house for the same amount of money that you are giving him. Put it in writing where he signs his choice of to purchase the home or to sell it. Tell him that you will never agree to join ownership with him, so he has the option to buy you out or you buy him out. But he will need to provide the same purchase price you will give him, not a penny more. If he buys you out, you can then choose to purchase a different home, betting he won't, and for $350,000, he can purchase his own home.